I think it's all of these memories sort of become enmeshed into one large thing. You know, I was raised by single parents, so I think my gran took on this immense role of looking after all of us, including my mom, my little brother, myself. She did everything from critiquing my drama practical work to fetching and carrying and helping on weekends and sort of taking me for lunch. She was much more than your sort of typical grandmother role, to the type of, you know, when you think of a grandmother, you think of someone you see on weekends who brings treats. Well, you know, there is, I'm sure everyone knows, there's this immense star quality to my grandmother. She is totally magnetic. She draws attention wherever she is. She's also, you know, hilarious. She's always the funniest woman in the room. And I think, you know, from her industry, and an industry where the sort of comedic space still is dominated by men, she was the funniest comedian of her time. You know, in that time, nobody was funnier than her. And I think that has very much stood out for me. My mother and I have a very strange sense of humor. Almost nothing makes us laugh. I can watch hours and hours of comedic television, British, American, doesn't matter, and I will be sort of confused and not enjoy it. But I'll sit with her on Friday night and I'll be crying. I will cry. Or, you know, I'll phone her in the morning and I'll, you know, tell her about like a story, and all her sort of anecdotal things that she says, her idiosyncrasies, make me hysterical. So I think that's one quality that I think, you know, she's got this immense zest. You know, she is so exuberant and funny, and obviously she's wildly talented, right? You know, sort of triple threat: singing, humor, acting, but both sort of dramatic and funny as well. You know, I don't know anyone's grandmother who's like that. Look very similar. A lot of people have said that as I've gotten older, I've sort of like morphed with a similar face to her. But I think, you know, it's no secret, like as far as black sheeps go in a family, I'm it. You know, my entire family, whether my uncle, my younger brother, my late father, my mother, obviously my grandmother, my grandfather, Sam, they're all involved in the arts in some way or another, whether it's music, whether it's acting, whether it's just like soft skills training and facilitating, whether it's production, whether it's filmmaking, it doesn't matter. You know, like they're all drawn, you know, it's innate. They're sort of born with this ability. And I've sort of, you know, I just sort of showed up and I went, okay, I'm going to law school. Sorry. you know, I've always been on the outskirts in a way, kind of going, you know, what is this artistic torture that you are all so encumbered with? I mean, what is going on? And in many ways, I haven't understood it. Yeah. And in many ways, I can't relate. But I've also, you know, been very lucky because I've been able to view this spectrum of talent. And that's been incredible for me because, you know, it's a gift, really, to be able to be surrounded by people who can just bring you all of this, you know, literal entertainment all the time. It's built a lot of resilience in me because sort of growing up facing their challenges with them, and it's, you know, it can be anything. It can be not having work that's not feeding you creatively, being tortured by an idea that's not coming to fruition, not enjoying pitching to people who are no longer interested, you know, all of that kind of thing. I've sort of like learned this sort of like ebb and flow and up and down. Well, I think for me, you know, in this time where we're sort of entering into this space of very conscious, you know, feminism, where, you know, women are learning the power of their own voice. You know, their power to demand equality like equal pay, like equal tax deduction, all of those kinds of things. You know, I look at my grandmother as kind of the original example of the fierce feminist. She's, you know, largely single parent, bought houses, you know, raised 2 children, sent 2 children to private school. She did it all, you know, in sequin dresses, singing in nightclubs. You know, what other embodiment of, you know, female power do we see, you know, in this country? You know, she's this pinnacle of this originating true feminist going, I don't need anybody, I don't need any other skill, I don't need to upskill or downskill, I've got this talent, I'm just going to make it work. You know, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to make a success of myself. It's unbelievable sort of defiance of the odds. You know, she has defied so many odds. And if there's anything that I sort of like take, you know, into my day to day, it's this, it's an immense tenacity. She's unbelievably tenacious, and B, she's perseverant. You know, if she wanted to make a certain project, if she wanted to buy a house, if she wanted to make enough money so that everybody would go to school, she would do it. You know, at whatever, you know, at whatever the cost, or whatever personal cost, she would do it. For me, it's just a message of, you know, a big thank you, a big overwhelming gratitude. I'm so grateful to you for loving us and being this, you know, overarching matriarch in our beautiful family, and I love you so much.